Yeah. Welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. We are here talking professional wrestling with you. And we are here, of course, on your radio. We are here on your podcasting device, be it iTunes, Google Play, anywhere you get your podcasts, and of course also on the YouTube channel. Hey, oh, I better. All right, hey, it's Dave and Johnny live.
Live.
What's up, man? I'm Dave, he's Johnny. Hey, everybody. Yes. What's up, everybody? We're watching Survivor Series. This is our Survivor Series watch along. And Daniel Bryan's wrestling the Fiend right now. Whoa,
how about that?
Hey, smacking it. Smack. We're smacking it. Welcome to the Smacking It with Dave. We're smacking each other. Hit me again. Woo! All right. Almighty. Welcome to Dave and Johnny Live. I'm Dave, and he's Johnny.
And we're not quarantined yet, right? Or...
No, this isn't the quarantine.
Who are we talking? We're talking about the Prime Minister, right?
Yeah, well, he's quarantined. The Prime Minister of the country's quarantined. Because his wife has coronavirus.
Yeek.
I mean, good God almighty, this thing is taken over. Obviously, we're going to be talking about it here on the show. We're still doing a show. A lot of people stopped doing shows. A lot of people are running out of stuff to talk about, but there's still a bunch of stuff going on in professional wrestling because the pro wrestling world doesn't stop. At least it hasn't stopped.
Doesn't die. Wrestling goes on.
Somehow,
that's right.
Wrestling has continued. We saw AEW this week. You know, they did a show on Wednesday night.
They'll do a show next week, too.
But Thursday was kind of when everything went down, right? Thursday was when everything hit the fan and everything kind of, you know, the NBA found a player that had coronavirus, so they suspended the season. Tom Hanks.
Fred was on the ball with that.
Tom Hanks had coronavirus.
When Tom Hanks fell, that's when it all went to hell.
Man, once Tom Hanks gets coronavirus, you know shit's real.
When I used to be texting into you, the phone would fall over because you had it leaning against the cup or whatever, and Johnny'd be like, "Someone keeps texting in." But he's come so far, like, and he's really are. Like, I mean, I remember from back in the day listening. He's come just like you've really evolved. You know what I mean? You haven't just like you're like a mixed martial artist now. You started off with a bit of jiu-jitsu, and then you got added little bits to your bow, and he's really are. Like I'll never ever claim to be a knowledgeable person when it comes to wrestling. I like it. I love watching it, but I wouldn't know. I know probably a lot more about MMA than I would wrestling, but I just love it. I love it, the innocence of it. I love just how everyone else who loves it, they have the same kind of personality. Everyone kind of has that kind of. They haven't lost a bit of their childhood. I think that's important. If you love wrestling, you're keeping that little bit in there. You don't have to become boring just as you get older. You can still like a little bit of something like that. I think that's what everyone who just comment on this show does. I think that's what you guys have. I think it's a brilliant thing. But it's only going to get bigger.
AJ.
This is only going to get bigger. I know it is. Like this has come to the studio here.
Look at all that.
That was cool.
What an intro.
Hey, that was a good intro, right?
Cheers.
Welcome, everybody.
Cheers, whoever made that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
We love it.
It's fantastic.
We're live. Yes, indeed. It is Wrestling Uncensored tonight. On the show, we review WWE SmackDown. We talk the AEW Grand Slam switch up and WWE Raw going back to 2 hours. Where are we? We had to do it twice. It was so nice. Johnny!
You can hear me? We're good?
Of course.
We're live?
Of course. Everything's good.
Nice.
We are
Cool.
good. We are live. It's a Friday night. It's Wrestling Uncensored. We're doing the damn thing. A lot going on. A lot going on in the world of professional wrestling, as there always is. Johnny North. WWE Raw. Raw is War. You know, the War Zone. You know that show. It's going back to
Only
2
Raw.
hours, apparently. What?
It's only Raw now. Raw's War died, remember after 9/11,
Yeah.
which happened
Nice.
recently? Yeah, they stopped that because, it's just Raw now. But, yeah, Raw finally 2 hours. I'm so happy. I don't know about you. That's the big problem I find with Raw is that it's too damn long. I feel like my brain starts to melt after 2.5 hours. I'm very, very happy about this. I don't know why people were so mad about it, feeling like, oh, this is going to hurt WWE, but this is actually going to help WWE. I just feel they can't sustain 3 hours every week for one show. It just doesn't work.
I think a 3-hour program for wrestling, it's too long unless you have, a pay-per-view type of thing. I think a 3-hour weekly show, it's been proven by WWE, it's just too long. Even when WCW did it with Nitro, it was too long. It's too long. You can't do it every single week. You can't make it interesting, and it's going to drag. I think WWE has had some 3-hour shows that have been great successes on Monday nights, but I think for the most part, people are kind of tuning out of Raw. They're catching the highlights on Twitter, on YouTube, wherever they catch them, and they're not really consuming a 3-hour Raw each and every week. I think we are, John, because we do Wrestling Uncensored, and we're crazy wrestling fans. But I think for the most part, the average wrestling fan is just not watching Raw over a 3-hour period, but a 2-hour show might be a little bit easier to digest. I think some of them are watching SmackDown because it's easier to watch on a Friday night. I think on a Monday night, a 2-hour show, you could get an even bigger audience because people don't necessarily want to be at home watching TV on a Friday night, but on a Monday night, I think you're going to get more eyeballs on your product. So I think this is a good move for the WWE. This is something we've been pulling for a long time. The writing was on the wall. They're going to Netflix soon in January. WWE says now they're on the USA Network with Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown made their USA debut tonight. So with their new deal with the USA Network and the end of Raw, they're going to be doing a 2-hour Raw starting sometime in October, and that'll run until the end of December, at which point they'll switch over to Netflix, and then they'll aim for a 2-hour show with some overrun, and then we'll see. Maybe on occasion it'll be like, hey, this will be a special 3-hour Raw because we got a lot of stuff to do and we got a big match. And, once in a while they'll do that, possibly, a special Raw, whatever, but they'll have that ability on Netflix because it's Netflix. There's no show after that you're bumping. You're not bumping the local news or the reruns of, Big Bang Theory or whatever the hell is on after
show.
Monday Night Raw. Walker, Texas Ranger, brother. I don't know. Nash Bridges.
You're thinking way back on the USA Network, those wonderful shows that they created over the years that, no one really cares about anymore. But, yeah, this is great news. I mean, I know some people are upset because it feels like they're going to make some cuts in WWE. But the way I look at it, if you're good, they're not going to cut you. So you better be good, and they won't cut you. That's how it really works in a lot of wrestling worlds, like a lot of different feds. Like, if you're good enough, you won't lose your spot.
I agree. And it's the WWE, right? It's supposed to be the best of the best. The cream of the crop, right?
I thought we got a lot of filler over the last couple of years on Raw, and some Raws were very difficult to get through. This gives me hope. Sadly, we had to go through another 3-hour Raw this week, and it was rough, even with Bret. It's great to see Bret Hart again, but again, Raw's tough 3 hours.
Raw was not good this week. It was long, it was boring, it was hard to get through. And we say this every week about Raw. It was not good. It was too long. It was boring. There was a lot of stuff I didn't need to see whatsoever. But we did see Bret Hart. That was cool, seeing Bret Hart in Calgary, seeing everybody put Bret over. Wade Barrett was putting Bret over. Gunther put Bret over for a while until he flipped it on him. Sami Zayn was putting Bret over, saying nice things about Bret Hart, how he's the best ever, how everybody in the back idolizes him, how he's a hero to everybody. Bret talking about what a Canadian champion is. You know what a Canadian champion is? Defends his championship no matter what. You know, man, it was great to see Bret. Great to see the Hitman. I love that guy so much. Best there is. He's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And you know it. And it was great to see him, man. I love Bret Hart. I love him. And I love when the WWE puts him out there and they treat him with the respect that he deserves. I love when any wrestling company puts him out on a big platform and gives him the respect that he deserves. But WWE has him under this contract right now. I think AEW can't use him. They did use him at one point, but they can't anymore. But WWE used him well. They treated him with respect. They made him look strong. They gave Natty a return match in a 6-woman tag. She won. She looked strong with the sharpshooter. They had a little backstage thing with Bret. He was happy. Natty was happy. It was nice. It was nice. It's the post-Vince era where things can just be nice without having a thing where it's like, oh, make him look like an asshole, pal. It's like, no, come on. Why? Triple H is like, hey, Bret, is everything cool? And Bret's like, yeah, I guess. Get away from me. You know?
He was a little more friendlier than that.
He was a little friendlier, but like not much, right? Did you see that backstage thing where Triple H was like, hey, Bret, you okay? Was that good? Bret was like, yeah, that was awesome, yeah. Okay, so that was okay, Bret, yeah. Yep. All right. It was awkward as hell because of the things Bret has said about Triple H. Like, you know, but Triple H, like, gets it in a way, and he wants to do the right thing, and he's the head of the business, so they're in Calgary. You want to do the right thing by the business, too. He was treating Bret with the respect that he deserved, even though Bret has disrespected Triple H over the years.
Triple H also like kind of trapped him in a sense because they made sure the camera was on, and that's when he went up to Bret. Bret sees this too, so is Bret going to, just say what he wants kind of thing? Maybe he's going to be also respectful, and I think a lot of the reason why he was there was for Natty, help give Natty, like he even said in the promo afterwards, like this is a Natty moment, this isn't a Bret moment. So a lot of that I think was for Natty.
Yeah, but just seeing those two. All the history. I mean, Triple H is the guy who takes credit for coming up with the idea to screw Bret. Why don't we just screw him?
Well, he stole it from Cornette, but yeah, he takes the idea because he ran with it, yeah.
Cornette says he came up with it. Triple H said he came up with it. Vince said he came up with it, but I mean, Vince takes credit for a lot of people's ideas. But I mean, Triple H just taking credit for it is pretty bold. Knowing about it, beforehand.
Well, he also lied, like on off the record. He knew nothing about it.
Yeah,
he completely lied to everybody about it.
Lied to Bret's wife and kids right afterwards, as you could see in Wrestling with Shadows.
Yeah,
you didn't know anything about it, Hunter? Swear to God. That's what he said to her. It's on camera. You didn't know that was going to go down? No idea. Swear to God. Looking down. Couldn't even look her in the eye.
Quality human being right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's on his record. You know what I mean? Triple H, the guy that runs WWE, he did that to Bret Hart. He did that to one of his fellow wrestlers. Him and Shawn Michaels, the guy who is teaching the young minds of the future of professional wrestling in NXT, Shawn Michaels. Those are the guys who did that to Bret Hart, the greatest wrestler of all time, the most revered, respected man in the history of pro wrestling. The best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. I mean, that's something, too. That you can never forget. Never forget that, Johnny North. Above all.
I'll never will. I mean, I felt when Gunther cut the promo, when he said Bret was his second favorite, I thought he was going to say his favorite was Shawn Michaels.
Ooh.
And I think that would have got a bigger reaction than the Goldberg thing, because unless you're in the know about that, you wouldn't know about that. But WWE, you would know that.
Yeah. Yeah, the Goldberg thing got kind of a reaction, but it was kind of funny. Because Gunther put Bret over so much beforehand that when Gunther said, "You're my second favorite wrestler, my first favorite was Bill Goldberg," like, Bret even was kind of like, he gave the little Bret smirk, like, all right, good one,
Right. But if he said Shawn, you kind of believe that almost in a sense, because it makes sense because Shawn's in NXT training. So it's like, yeah, you can believe that.
Yeah. Which I think would probably get heat, maybe. But people have kind of forgiven Shawn at this point. You haven't.
No.
But I think most people kind of have, because we saw Bret forgive him on TV.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, well, I had a feeling that they might stab me in the back later anyways, but
yeah,
it didn't happen yet.
Is that interview with Bret and Shawn still out there where JR interviews him and he just grills Shawn about what kind of piece of trash Shawn was in the 90s? And Bret's like, "No, actually, Shawn, this is what you said." And Shawn's like, "Oh, I don't remember that. I'm sorry, I guess." Like, Shawn just kind of mumbles and pretends not to remember all the horrible things he did. Which, I mean, it's possible he doesn't remember because he had a serious drug problem. But, like, that interview was really great. It was like an hour and a half long with Jim Ross just sitting down with Bret and Shawn being like, "So, you guys have a lot of problems with each other? Let's hash it out, pal." And it's just like hitting Shawn because Bret did nothing. And it's just like, "Shawn, you did this. Shawn, you did that." And JR's like, "Shawn, you did say that. You did do that." And Shawn's like, "Did I?" And Bret's like, "Yes." And JR's like, "Yes, you did, pal." It's fantastic. If that's still out there and you haven't seen it, it's must watch. Must watch History of Wrestling. When that came out, I was like, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe Vince made Shawn do that. You know what I mean? Because he really put him out there. Like, he let him just kind of hang. Like, "Oh, you're going to be the scapegoat and we're going to just kind of put all the blame on you for this again. I took the blame back in 97, but now that Bret's back, I want to kind of make nice with him, so we're going to blame you a little bit. We're going to have Bret and you sit down, and if you really want to clear your mind, we're going to let you do that, pal." That was rough.
I think it could have been much worse. I actually feel JR kind of defended Shawn at some points because it was just so lopsided.
Well, he had to. You felt bad. Shawn looked like he was going to cry. Didn't he cry?
No, I didn't. I don't think he cried.
He didn't cry?
But
he looked like he was going to at a couple points there. He looked like, he heard some truths that he wasn't prepared for. Shawn Michaels.
At least he admits he's not a perfect human being and he ruined a lot of lives.
Yeah.
At least he admits his faults.
Yeah.
It's a start.
Shawn's the best. But, see, this is what happens, John. We see Bret Hart, we see Triple H, and we go, "Oh, man, it just opens up so much with us," right? So much.
Again, It's great to see Brett. It's great that he got that moment because I guess that might be the last time WWE ever goes to the Saddle Dome. So it's great Brett got one more moment there.
Yeah. It's nice that they gave it to him. Like, at least Triple H seems to be trying to do better by Brett these days, you know?
Well, I think just for overall fans in general, he's trying to give people what they want. Like, they want to still see people like Bret Hart. They still want to see, like, we saw this on SmackDown tonight. Just saw a bunch of random people. Just because people still want to see these people. Like, It was nice to see Farouk, Teddy Long. Like, I haven't seen them in a while. Booker T. I know he's in NXT, but still, like, good to see Booker T on SmackDown again.
That was King Booker.
Right, sure.
Queen Charmel. Be clear, John. Great to see RVD. The whole effing show.
Yeah.
It was
I don't
nice
know
to
if we
even
need
see
to
Michael
see-
Hayes. It was like, oh, man, they put him outside. They let him in front of the cameras. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if we needed to see that, but that's all. Whatever. It's good. Michael just stepped out from behind the curtain. Good for him. But
Yeah.
the Raw superstars, that didn't make sense because Gunther's there, and then Randy comes out. I'm like, oh well, they're going to do something here. They do nothing.
No.
It's
It was
pointing.
odd. It was odd. Gunther was there. Gunther had a good promo with Brett and Sami Zayn on Raw. Sami Zayn paying tribute to the hockey player that tragically lost his life there, the former Calgary Flames player.
Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah. Very sad story, right? It was a car accident?
Him and his brother, yeah. That's very tragic. He didn't die a Calgary Flame, though. He died a Columbus Blue Jacket, but he played with Calgary Flames in the
Right.
past.
Okay. So Sammy was wearing his jersey. That was his jersey? Who?
Yeah.
Well, they're brothers,
13,
right?
yeah.
They have the same last name. I don't know which number. But
Well, I think Matthew, he wasn't as big as a star as Johnny was.
okay. Yeah, very sad. Very sad. And Sammy wearing the jersey in Calgary, huge pop. And, Sammy again challenging Gunther for a match for the world title, and Gunther again saying no. What's up? Are we going to do this match? Or, you figure Bad Blood, they're going to do the match. Oh.
I would
Like
figure. I think we just went lights out for a second.
I thought
but we're back.
Undertaker was about to take over the show. It's me. I'm here.
We're not caught in a steel cage. It's good. No syringes to the mouth. We're good.
Whew. No attempted murder, no arson, no murder syringes. What was in that syringe? I guess Swerve survived, right?
Well, we haven't seen him yet, so wait and see, right?
That's true. Maybe Swerve is dead. Did Swerve die? You would figure they would tell us if Swerve had died after the match, but that chair shot was something else. We haven't talked about that, right? Because I did the all-out poke show with my brother. Is that the case?
Yeah, we got to make some corrections too, by the way, because you said you got all your predictions correct. You actually did not get all your predictions correct. So
I thought I did.
Yeah. No, you picked Daniel Garcia, and I understand because I may have gone that same way, but
Did I?
Daniel Garcia did not. Yeah, you picked Daniel Garcia.
Oh.
I watched the YouTube and I listened to the podcast version afterwards.
Wow.
And it's undeniable.
Okay.
Yeah, you picked Garcia, and you went with another idea. Like, I get it, but not in this match. Like, you had Okada losing the Continental
I thought maybe he
Championship.
would lose, but I wasn't sure. I didn't. Did I say that he would lose? I was on
Yeah.
the fence about that one.
But in the end, like you said it, so that was your final pick.
Okay.
Konosuke, I think, was your final pick. Yeah.
Okay. Oh well. Sorry, John. Everything else I got right
It's okay.
though. No.
Yeah, which is pretty good because, I mean, again, it's not easy, AEW. I mean, again, WWE, it's a little bit more predictable when you look at it. AEW, it's tough. It's not easy. And then
Yeah.
there was definitely some tough matches in that, without question. Like, could go either way. And my opinion, I don't think you guys had the same view on this one, but I thought Ospreay and Pac, like, that was easily match of the night. To
I
me,
knew.
that's match of the year so far.
I knew you would say that, and I think I
Right.
even said on the show that would be your match of the night. Didn't I say that?
Okay. Well, you know what I like then, I guess. I would
Go
like
back,
that. And
go back and watch the post show. I'm pretty sure I said that my match of the night was it was the cage match because it was just so crazy, right? Hangman and Swerve. And then my brother's match of the night was Willow and Statlander, which was pretty freaking nuts, right? Like, that was good.
that Swanton was insane.
It's a hell of a match. But yeah, Pac and Ospreay was incredible as well. And I did say on the post show, I was like, I'm pretty sure because you like more straightforward wrestling matches, like pure wrestling matches, that you would pick the Ospreay Pac match as your match of the night. I'm pretty sure I said that on the show. So.
Oh, well, I think you're pretty much right. But, I mean, I think that's match of the year so far. I don't know if I've seen a better match this year. Like, that may be one of the best matches I've ever seen, period. It was that good.
I thought Danielson and Ospreay was better.
I mean, I'd have to rewatch both. I get them both very good, but, man, like, I thought Pac, like, just because of the speed, like, everything just looks so smooth. It's quite incredible. And the back and forth, the sequences back and forth, I don't think I've seen anything better so far. Not this year, anyways.
It's very impressive athletically, but it doesn't captivate me like a Bryan Danielson match.
I understand that. There's more of a personal thing with that. I get it. And, the final countdown's cool. Way too expensive, but very cool that he gets that moment. The bag thing was kind of insane, but...
What do you care about how much it costs, John?
Well, I don't know, like, do we need to play it twice? Like, that, man, that's a lot of money. I can't believe... They said it's $200,000? Like, wow. To play it once? Like, is it really, like, that big of a deal to play it? Like, I don't know, like, that's crazy.
It's his last run.
Well, I feel like it might not last that long from what it looks like, so... But we'll get to that later, I guess.
Yep. Apparently, on the show, an exact quote, this is on our website at ringsidereport.net when we recap the All Out show. I said, Will Ospreay over Pac was tremendous, could be match of the night. So I did say that, it was up there. It was one of the best. I mean, you're not wrong, Johnny. And the show was very, very good. And I think a testament to that is that we were split, the whole crew on what the match of the night was. Because the matches were all so very good. Great pay-per-view once again from AEW. They're killing it. As far as the in-ring content, as far as their pay-per-views, their big shows, they are destroying the competition.
Well, there was a lot of shock value with this one too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the attempted murder several times over. Like, for me, that kind of took me off from the cage match a bit because I thought we had seen so much at that point. And then the stuff with the cinder block, I'm like, wow, this is going a little ultra-violent, crazy. Like, there's no way back from this. And then they just keep going further and further. And it's like, well, you've gone past that line right now and just completely destroyed it. I mean, it's good if you like that kind of stuff, but I'm like, it went a little too far, I thought.
I'm not a big deathmatch guy, but I thought they did it within the story and within reason and with athleticism and everything. I thought it was just very well done. As far as something like that, it was pretty impressive.
If anything, I probably would have done the bag thing just because it would have made more sense, I found, in Hangman and Swerve.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they want to kill each other. Yeah, that makes sense. The bag. With Moxley, it's like this came out of absolute nowhere. Again, shock value. That's great. But then we have to have another attempted murder, like the next match over. Like that, again, placements. It's kind of, it got too much by the end of it. And this happened with All In too, I found.
I'm still unclear on why Moxley felt the need to try to murder Bryan Danielson with that plastic bag. Like, what did Danielson do exactly? Why did they have to get rid of him in that way? Like, what was the point of that?
We kind of explained it to Start Dynamite, right? That promo, which was a unique kind of little way they did that promo. I thought that wasn't too bad. It was different. Yeah. That's what I liked about it.
Moxley's little backstage thing, like, we had to get rid of you because you're not prepared to do what we are about to do. Basically.
It's too weak.
But that's vague,
too much
right?
Compassion. It's a little vague, but I get it. Like, he's got too much compassion. He cares too much. And they got to be heartless about whatever they got to do.
They came out later and attacked some jabronis. This is like a new group, right? It's Pac, it's Moxley, it's Claudio, and it's Marina Shafir. They came out later to attack some jabroni guys, and then Pac cut a promo, and you could hear crickets, man. It was horrible.
Well, he basically cut the same promo that Moxley cut before.
Yeah, but in his weak, like, slow Pac, it was bad, man.
Well, I found he didn't add anything, so that's why no one cared. Like, because it's like, okay, this is nothing new. You're just repeating the same verbiage that Moxley said, I think, a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we all brainwashed now or something? That's what it seems like.
I don't know. It was weird. It wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. What else happened on that Dynamite show that was odd?
Well, Moxley confronted Darby Allin later. That finally happened.
The switch up. They did the whole switch up thing. So Moxley eventually confronts Darby, and Darby's like, "Oh, I used to like you, Moxley, and respect you, but after what you did to Danielson, I don't like you, and I think you're a bad guy." And then Moxley's like, and then Darby's like, "What?" And Moxley's like, "I'm sorry. I will wrestle you now." And Darby's like, "What?" And Moxley's like, "Your championship shot you give to me, please." And it's like, all right, be clear. So what Moxley was saying was he wanted Darby's championship match against Bryan Danielson because he doesn't think that Darby is ready to be a champion or to beat Bryan Danielson. Because Darby won a match a few weeks ago where he won a title match against Bryan Danielson at Grand Slam, which is in like 2 weeks. It's
2 weeks?
Not this Wednesday. It's the following Wednesday, the 25th of September. So Darby has this title match against Bryan Danielson at Grand Slam in New York City. Big AEW Dynamite show. Moxley's like, "Give me your title shot." And Darby's like, "No." Moxley's like, "Danielson won't be at the show. He's indisposed. He can't do the match. He's like murdered or whatever after what we did to him." Darby's like, and Moxley's like, "How about this?" Or no, Darby's like, "Okay, well, how about you wrestle me for the match, and if you can beat me, then I guess you can have it. And if I beat you, then I just still have what I have, and I have gone through Jon Moxley, and now I have to get a title shot at a later date, I suppose. Because Bryan Danielson's not available. So they tell me. So Jon Moxley just told me. But Jon Moxley lied to Darby Allin because Nigel McGuinness comes out later in the show and he's like, "Hey, Bryan Danielson, your wife Brie sucks, and so do you, and I'm going to beat you at Grand Slam, and here's a contract, so ha ha ha." And you're like, what? I thought Danielson couldn't wrestle a Grand Slam. So it's very confusing. But apparently Nigel McGuinness, they showed a graphic. He will be wrestling Bryan Danielson in Grand Slam. It's unclear if it's going to be for the belt or not. And then Jon Moxley is going to wrestle Darby Allin at the Grand Slam. And it's not clear. I guess if Moxley wins, he gets the title shot against Bryan at a later date. Wrestle Dream or whatever they have. Made no sense. I mean, John, we talked about it a bit before the show. We're in agreement here. What? If Darby has a title match against Bryan Danielson, but then they're like, Bryan can't be there. And they're like, all right, fine, put him in another match. But then Bryan's there. Shouldn't Darby just wrestle Bryan for the belt? It's like, here's an example in the real world, John. Michael Chandler has this golden ticket to fight Conor McGregor, right? At the end of the rainbow. The pot of gold to fight Conor McGregor, right? But he's waiting and waiting to fight Conor McGregor. But now, Michael Chandler's tired of waiting, so he's going to fight Chucky Olives, Charles Oliveira, in November at UFC in a co-main event, right?
Okay.
If Conor McGregor were to show up and fight on that same card, you'd be like, well, how come he's not fighting Michael Chandler? Michael Chandler has this golden ticket. And if Michael Chandler was fighting Chucky Olives and Chucky Olives was like, listen to me, my friend, You give me your golden ticket if I beat you. That'd be not cool, you know? Michael Chandler wouldn't be down with that. So, it just doesn't make sense, John, from a real-world perspective, which is happening, by the way. That's breaking UFC news. Chandler's not fighting Conor next. He's fighting Charles Oliveira, which is nuts. Conor's never fighting. And they're saying, well, if Conor fights next year, then Chandler will fight him. Even if Charles Oliveira, like, breaks his leg. Charles Oliveira could break Michael Chandler's leg easily with, like, a heel hook. If Charles Oliveira locks in a heel hook, you think Michael Chandler taps quick? Or he holds on because he's like, well, it was fine. I don't know, man. I would tap quick and save my knee so I can still get that Conor money in 2025. But we'll see. We'll see how that fight plays out. But, yeah, how come Darby isn't getting the title shot, John? Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't really understand in terms of the logic. I think the reason why they're doing this is because this Danielson title run, like, his career ends once the title run is over. So I think they're just trying to get as much as they can in with this. Whether or not it's a title match against Nigel, they still want the match. So I guess they feel this run could end at Wrestle Dream. So they want to get this match in with Nigel, and I guess this is the only way they could pull it off. So in terms of the story, yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
You think it'd end at Wrestle Dream, like in October?
Because is it not in Brian's, like, hometown or something?
It's in Tacoma.
Close
believe.
enough. Like, double checking that right now.
It's
I
on
guess?
the 12th. It's on the 12th of October. It's actually pretty soon, John. It's in Tacoma, Washington.
Well, if it's against Moxley, yeah, I could see it ending. I mean, if anyone's going to end Brian's run, yeah, Moxley makes sense.
Not so soon. Not this way.
Yeah, but he's got to get neck surgery. Like, you got to realize he just had 2 crazy matches.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot out of him. It's not like he's a spring chicken anymore here. He's got to get neck surgery. Like, he can't keep doing this all the time. So it might just come to an abrupt end, sadly.
I think Darby beats Moxley at Grand Slam, and then if it is coming to an end, it should be Darby beating Brian in Washington to pass the torch of the new king of Washington wrestling. Darby's from Washington. I think Darby even maybe from Tacoma. I'll check on that.
Well, that'd be great. I just feel there's more of a story with Moxley, though, because something's building with him.
Yeah.
There's not really much going on with Darby. So it's like, I feel like they're trying to shift it to Moxley because something's going on with him and they want to build this up, I think.
Yeah. Darby's from Seattle, technically. Danielson is from Aberdeen. Neither of them are from Tacoma, just to be clear.
All right. I think they'd still get great reactions, but I feel the big match is probably to do Bryan versus Moxley.
Maybe, but I wouldn't have Moxley be the one to retire Bryan. He doesn't need it. Like, it should be somebody like Darby, somebody that's going to be the future. MJF, Will Ospreay, Darby Allin. Moxley's already pretty established. I think you push the future forward with the Bryan retirement. Even Hangman or Swerve beating Bryan, I think, would be better than Moxley. Moxley's, kind of a step above all those guys as far as, like, notoriety. He's a big star.
Well, if it was me, I'd go with MJF. I think he'd be the best choice for it.
Yeah.
But I think they wrote MJF off, unfortunately, so I don't think he's going to be wrestling for a while, sadly.
Yeah. MJF got attacked by Daniel Garcia, the evil Daniel Garcia, and now he's gone, right?
And that's crazy because apparently Daniel Garcia has not re-signed with AEW and could still leave AEW, so they let him write off one of their big stars. It's kind of weird.
Didn't MJF just come back?
Yeah, he did.
Why is he going away for a while again? That's the word on MJF. He's going away for a bit. Why?
Again, like, they wrestle crazy matches, and it takes a lot out of them. So
He's the best. He is just the best. Love MJF. Well, there's a lot of changes there for AEW Grand Slam, Johnny North. Speaking of Grand Slams, I saw one tonight. Did you see that Grand Slam tonight, John?
it was crushing. It was very crushing.
Yeah, Aaron Judge crushed it. Deep to left field.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Woo! What a game. Yankees win 5-4 over the Red Sox. And just as the Orioles lose again, the Yankees lead in the AL East in first place, keeps getting padded. And the Red Sox, Johnny North's favorite team, the Red Sox, their playoff dreams come crashing down in the Bronx tonight. Every loss at this point in the game is devastating for the Red Sox and so sweet and beautiful for the Yankees. Yankees down 4-1 in the 7th inning, bases loaded. Aaron Judge at the plate, hadn't hit a homer in 70 at-bats, his longest drought of the season. Crushed it to left field. Grand slam. Yankees win 5-4. Whew. Whew. And I knew I had to face Johnny North here tonight. And if the Red Sox beat the Yankees tonight, Johnny would be giving it to me. Big time. But instead,
Yes and no.
I get to give it to you, Johnny North. Big time! How does it feel? Can't feel too good to be a Red Sox fan tonight. It feels really good to be on the right side with the Yankees, the 2024 World Series champions.
I don't know about that one so much, but it sucks because they got robbed last night because Yankee Stadium is horrible and no one else would hit a home run there, but it's in Yankee Stadium, so that's how they padded Judge's numbers, by the way.
Sure.
But
he hit it in left tonight, John, not in right. The short porch is in right field.
I'm just saying overall, it was overall stats. I'm just saying for that. But live it up. You get it this season. They'll come back, the Red Sox. I mean, clearly they got to work on the bullpen. I think hitting's not too bad. It's usually consistent. Bullpen needs a lot of work.
I like that rookie right fielder you got. He's good. What's his name? Willier?
I believe so. I'm
He's
just
good.
a little pissed about they got to work on not being so discriminatory towards people. They got to work on that.
Who?
That was pretty awful.
Red Sox?
Yeah.
Oh, that player who said that thing.
I don't want to bring that up so much, but I feel like that was the downfall, really, in the season. Like once that happened, like it just felt like the wheels fell apart. Things got distracted and they never recovered.
That's a shame.
Yeah, well, again, next season, as long as the Yankees don't win the World Series, everything will be fine.
We
were
watching the
hoping
Yankees
for
win
that.
the World Series, man. If the Yankees win the World Series, John, you will not be able to tolerate me for a while. I'm going to be tough to deal with.
Well, you got a tough task, though. Like, let's face it.
Of
Orioles, Astros,
Yeah.
it's not going to be easy.
I'm not confident that the Yankees are going to win the World Series. Believe me. The Yankees have a lot of issues, a lot of problems. They somehow keep squeaking by winning these games. The Royal Series was tough, but they squeaked by. They won the last game against the Royals in extra innings, and then they won the first game against the Red Sox in extra innings. And then tonight they win just 5-4, but they're winning the one-run ball games that last season they were losing. So it's really nice to be winning the close ones instead of losing them, especially going down the stretch into the playoffs. If you can win these tight, close games with playoff teams like the Royals, like the Red Sox, like those teams, the Royals have a wild card spot right now. The Red Sox are chasing one. It's not fully over for the Red Sox, but it's not looking good.
I mean,
Right
they got to
after
pretty
tonight.
much win almost all their games now, I think, just to stay in it. Because the Royals aren't going to like lose out every game, you know. Or the Twins.
Yeah.
Twins aren't playing great, but still, like, Red Sox really have to win almost all their games.
Well, they have to catch the Twins right now. They're 4.5 back of the Twins.
That's rough. I mean, I could have lived with 3 or 2, but 4.5.
You got the Mariners 4 back, and then the Tigers 2.5 back, chasing the Twins for the last wild card spot. And then you got the Royals and the Orioles for the other 2.
Yeah, we're not catching the Orioles. That's not going to happen.
No.
It's not looking good.
The top wild card spot is going to be the Orioles or the Yankees. Hopefully the Orioles, not the Yankees. I think the Yankees may actually hold on and win the AL East this year. But, we got to hold on. It's looking good right now. Looking pretty good. 3 games up in September. Feels nice. 3 games up mid-September is a good feeling right now. It might be the biggest lead they've had over the Orioles in the division all season. Like, it's been that close.
Not all season. No. Like in May or June, like they weren't like so far ahead.
Not that. It was still not that far ahead.
Okay.
It was still not that far ahead. I mean, maybe it was 4 or 5 games, but honestly, it never got into the double digits. That's for sure. It's it's nice to see them 3 games up right now. Orioles losing, okay. Yankees winning. God damn, this feels good. Jason Pete says Chris Jericho is in Mexico City tonight. El Ciudad de Mexico. Cabrón.
Gonna get CMLL, I guess.
Or maybe it's Fozzy. En concierto. Jason, how's my Spanish? Well, not bad, right? A few words here and there. Es muy bueno.
Learning Tree had a match. They did something on Dynamite. It wasn't spectacular. It was nice to see Jericho win with the flexing pose. One of his rare wins.
Come on, baby! I love that one. It's a great move. The Come On, Baby. It's technically called the Come On, Baby, I think, John. Come On, Baby.
Possibly. I forget what they called it in WrestleMania 2000 or No Mercy, but they had a name for it. They teased a little bit of tension there between Big Bill because he's getting over Big Bill as a face. I think people want to see him as a baby face, so felt like they're teasing a little bit of tension between Jericho and Big Bill.
I thought the match of the night on Dynamite, pretty good match, was Sammy Guevara and Rick O'Shea. That was fun to watch.
Yeah. Easily, great match. Great back and forth match. It was good to see Sammy Guevara back on Dynamite. He's been on Collision and, obviously Ring of Honor because he's the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion with Dustin Rhodes. So, but it's good to see Sammy just back wrestling top tier talent again. Like he should be on Dynamite almost weekly.
It was weird to see him on Dynamite because it was like, oh yeah, Sammy Guevara. Where have you been?
Well, that's it. He just shows up in Ring of Honor out of nowhere. It's like, oh, he came back. And now Dynamite's like, oh, well, he just comes back. It feels like it's 2 re-debuts in a sense.
Mm-hmm. I think it's weird, right? It's since that Hardy thing.
Yeah.
He hasn't been on AEW TV. They kind of demoted him to Ring of Honor, and they're like, we're going to have you team with Dustin and learn how to wrestle. Right?
I guess. I think also maybe they were thinking put him with Jericho again, but for whatever reason that didn't work out or it's not happening. So honestly, I think the thing with him and Dustin, it's not bad. It gives Dustin something. I mean, Dustin's a double champion now, so he's, I think, doing great for himself right now.
If you are an AEW wrestler and you get off AEW TV and you start doing Ring of Honor, that's a demotion no matter how you slice it, even if you're their world champion.
Well, the world champion is on Dynamite, though, all the time. You see Mark Briscoe all the time, actually.
I didn't even know he was the Ring of Honor champion.
Ah.
I mean, he doesn't defend it on Dynamite. They barely talk about it when he's there. And he's not really looked at as like a world champion. He's just kind of a goofy sidekick to Orange Cassidy.
I think that's why. Because, he's not really a world champion in a sense because he's just like a side act of a group. So, it's kind of weird.
Exactly. What is he? He's another one who
Oh,
just
he's
kind of
good.
goes. He's fun though. I like
he's
him.
good though. He's good.
Yeah.
He should be on weekly.
Yeah. I thought Jungle Boy and Leo Rush was fun too on Dynamite. Decent match. Not bad.
I thought it was okay. Like it wasn't anything like spectacular, but it was an okay. Like for an opener, I guess it was fine.
And Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher won a casino gauntlet tag team thing to get a tag team title shot against the Young Buckaroos at some point. Don Callis calling in a favor, saying, Will Ospreay, you owe me one. You have to team with your friend. Ospreay's like, all right, bruv. And they did it.
I mean, out of all the teams that were involved there, I mean, I think they were the team you wanted to see the most win because no other team was really that interesting. Ospreay and Fletcher, I mean, that it's at least more intriguing because Ospreay's having some of the best matches right now. So it makes the Bucks more interesting if Ospreay's going to wrestle them.
Young Bucks apparently working hurt. Is there any chance they drop the belts to these guys?
I don't think so. Like, because this seems like a kind of out of nowhere kind of thing. I think they've built up a tag team to finally beat the Bucks. But it's a nice little match just to give them something, I think.
Grand Slam or what? Did they announce when? Probably Grand Slam.
Yeah, I would think so. And if anything, I think this might lead to Ospreay feuding with Fletcher or the Don Callis family because that still feels like there's a bit of tension there involved.
Yeah. There's something going on there, right?
I feel like we're going to get something there. So, and obviously, Ospreay, Ricochet, I mean, that feels like that's an eventual match that's going to happen at some point. So, tag team titles doesn't make sense like right now for Ospreay.
I think what has to happen with Ospreay and the Don Callis thing is that him and Fletcher, they wrestle the Bucks, they don't win the titles, and then Fletcher and Takeshita turn on Ospreay, attack Ospreay, and then maybe Fletcher goes after Ospreay and his belt, international belt, right?
Uh-huh.
Because Fletcher, when he comes out, he's still kind of a babyface. And I think he's with the Don Callis family. Takeshita is a heel. You got to really establish him as a clear-cut heel. And a turn on Ospreay and a feud with Ospreay, kind of higher profile, would be good to establish him as one of the heels on AEW.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's what they should do. Again, will they do that, though? Because we've seen the stories go in completely different directions. So, like, it's really hard to predict where they're going with this. But I don't think you can do a lot of wrong right now with Ospreay. It feels like everything he touches turns to gold, practically. Like, again, his match at All Out, fantastic. Again, all in as well with MJF, fantastic. Like, he can do no wrong right now.
Yeah. Yeah. He might be the best wrestler going today. Has he wrestled Darby Allin yet?
Not yet. But again, that's just another one you can add to the... But, I mean, I think about all the great matches he's had. Wait until he wrestles Ricochet in AEW. I mean, it just gets better and better for him. It's really incredible.
I'd really like to see what him and Darby could do. Any good wrestler in AEW that comes in, I always go, oof, what would they do with Darby? Because Darby's just such a unique wrestler that anybody with like a cool style, you go, ooh, how would that work? And it always works. Darby never misses either. Darby strikes gold with everything.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like, just to get that story where you'd have that kind of a feud for them, that's where it's kind of lacking right now because it feels like they're completely different universes right now almost.
Yeah, but, you know, a lot of things could change. I think Darby really should beat Moxley. Be a big win for him. It's time to get Darby to that next level. A win over Moxley would help push him in that direction.
I agree with you. I'd love to see it. I just feel like, again, this is Moxley's comeback. Has Moxley even wrestled since he came back? I don't think so. Like, his comeback match, he's going to lose? I'd be very surprised by that.
Could happen.
Well, again, it's AEW. It's hard to predict, right? But
okay, how about something that isn't hard to predict? WWE. John, I told you that Roman and Cody would team up. I told you it would happen. Wasn't I saying that like 2 weeks ago when I laid out the whole bloodline story with The Rock and Solo and WrestleMania and how it's all going to come together? I said Roman and Cody will team up at some point to face Solo, and The Rock won't like this, and when he comes back, it's going to be hell to pay. You teamed up with Cody Rhodes. You went against the family. Never go against the family. Everybody knows that. Vito Corleone taught us that.
It was weird how it all came together because Roman didn't want a team with Cody didn't want a team with Roman.
Right.
Like, they both didn't want a team, but just because they both took a beat down at the end, oh, well, we'll team. Like, it kind of was weird how that all came together, but fine, I guess. That's the way. I mean, that's happened before in WWE, and it's kind of simple. But, okay, fine. I'm not looking forward to that match at Bad Blood. To me, that's kind of a disappointing match, really, to make. Like, that's just a straight-up tag. That's not even Hell in a Cell. Like, for those kind of guys involved, like, you expect a bigger kind of match.
But it's Roman and Cody together. It's like the mega powers. Like you don't need a gimmick because it's like the tag team is the gimmick itself. Are they going to get along? How's it going to work? Can they be stopped if they do get along? You know, like that type of thing.
But you're going to have that match, and you're going to have a Hell in a Cell match on the same show.
Yeah.
Like, what's the main event?
Cody and Roman.
Yeah, I think so. But it's like, oh, you have the gimmick match, and then you're going to have the tag match? Like, I feel like the main event should have the gimmick, no?
Again, the gimmick is the star power. The aura of Cody and Roman together. No matter what, in the match, you got Cody or Roman wrestling. And it's Roman's return match, too. He hasn't wrestled since WrestleMania. He hasn't wrestled since losing the belt to Cody, and his first match back is with Cody in a tag team. How's that?
Crazy how things work out.
Right. That match is official. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Not Tommy Tonga, not Loa Tonga. Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa had a pretty good steel cage match tonight to kick off SmackDown. They hit some pretty impressive moves. The most devastating was like a vertical suplex or maybe a brainbuster. I don't know what it was trying to be, but off the cage, Cody took a really hard bump. That was rough looking.
I thought it was a good cage match. I had some issues with it, though. First thing was Cody rammed Solo's head into the cage multiple times, no blood. And then Cody, I think it was off like a cannonball into the corner or something, or when he's in the ropes.
Diving
they're
headbutt.
saying it was a headbutt.
Yeah,
they're saying it was diving headbutt. And then Cody's bleeding off that. So you have a cage. Usually people bleed off that or are supposed to bleed off that. But that didn't cause any blood whatsoever. A headbutt caused the blood. I just feel like it kind of defeats the purpose for a cage.
How about
like,
that bump, though?
Bump was great. And I thought the cross body, I thought Solo was hurt off the cross body. I think they went home on the finish there quick. Solo was hurt. Because I think that he only hit one crossroads, right?
Yeah.
He usually does like three for the finish. I think he's just like one and done. That's it. Because I think Solo was kind of hurt. Because after that cross body, he was holding his head. And they were down for a while. The ref was checking on him. Like, I think they went right to the finish.
It was rough, but I thought Cody was hurt at one point because Solo hits the running butt move thing in the corner. Then he picks Cody up immediately and bam, smacks him with a Samoan drop. And Cody bumps and then kind of rolls away from Solo to his side.
Mm-hmm.
And Solo stands at the top rope like ready to do a splash, and Cody's not there, and the camera's just on Solo, but you can tell something's going on, and the ref's like talking to Cody, and Solo's like, tell him to move. Like, you could see him say, like, get him, like, move or whatever. And then he does the splash. Like, I feel like Cody came up a little loopy from either the running butt thing or the Samoan drop or whatever, because he just kind of rolled away and did not roll in place for the splash that Solo went up for immediately. Like that was an odd moment in the match. I think Cody got kind of banged up. They took some rough bumps in there. But that was a point there. Did you notice that when Solo went up to the top and Cody just wasn't there for him?
I thought he just forgot the spot, but I think you could be right about that. Maybe he just got winded or something, or he got loopy. That's very possible it could have happened.
That Samoan drop looked rough. He might have just got winded. That makes sense.
It happens.
Needs a second.
Yeah,
right?
It happens.
It's like, don't splash me now. I need a second. Right?
Well, if you notice all that cross body, Solo doesn't really kick out. Like he puts his hand up, but that wasn't really a kick out. And the ref was on him right away and for a while.
Yeah.
And we do not wait too long to get to that finish. So yeah, I think they both got hurt. And Cody had a little bit of a bruise on his back or welt or something. Like it was a very brutalizing match for both guys.
That's it. How you say you don't like this match? I thought it was really good. It was a hard-hitting cage match.
I said it was good. I just had some issues with it.
Nah. I thought it was good. Cody retained the WWE Championships, beat Solo clean. Beat him clean in the steel cage. And then the bloodline comes out, the new bloodline, right? Tommy Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu. They all beat up on Cody. Jacob hits a moonsault on Cody. And then Solo tells Jacob to go to the top of the steel cage to do like a splash there. But then Roman Reigns comes out, and he takes out Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. And then Solo attacks Roman and is about to hit him with something, but Roman fights back, hits a Superman punch, sets up for the spear, but Jacob Fatu at that point is out of the ring, pulls Solo out of the ring, saving him from the spear. And then Tommy Tonga and Tonga Loa attack Roman from behind after that, because those goons are just always getting beaten up. And Cody stops them, hits a crossroads, and then Roman and Cody just kind of looked at each other in the ring. But that was not all, because we had more. There was Brutus Magnus, the general manager of SmackDown, trying to set up a tag team match for Bad Blood because Fatu and Solo wanted a tag team match against Cody and Roman. But Cody didn't want to do the match because he said, I'm done with the bloodline. I just beat Solo. It's Roman's problem. I don't want to do this tag team match. So Roman comes out to the ring and says, something's changed, but I don't. I don't need contracts. I don't need a partner. I don't need Cody Rhodes' help, especially not Cody Rhodes' help. This is bloodline business. And whether I have the family's Ula Fala or not, I am the tribal chief. So whether he has that, necklace thing, he's still the tribal chief of the family. And this is his ring and his show and his WWE. And then that prompts Cody to come out. And he's like, it was your ring. It was your WWE, but it hasn't been since WrestleMania. And then Cody's the champion, So that's good. Roman coming out and saying, I'm still the number one guy here. I'm still the man. And Cody's like, well, I beat you. I'm the champion. So hold on a minute, playa. But then they stare at each other, and Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu show up. And then Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa again. The foot soldiers attacking Roman and Cody from behind. But Cody cutter on Tonga Loa. Roman rock bottom on Tommy Tonga. And then he takes the contract, and he's like, I guess I will sign this contract for the match. And Cody's like, I guess I will too. So because they were attacked in a similar way to they were attacked earlier in the night, they've decided to team up, even though after the first attack they were like, no way! But then they get attacked again by the same guys in the same way, and they stay on top of them. They beat them up and send them packing. But they're like, yeah, all right, tag team match now. Yeah.
There's not much to this.
We got there. The promo beforehand with Roman and Cody, and Roman's like, this is my place, and I'm still the number one. And then Cody coming out and being like, whoa, hang on. That was good stuff. The Roman and Cody interactions, there's some magic there. But the logic of not wanting to tag before and then wanting to tag after the same stuff just happened to them is kind of weird. But they had to get there somehow. This is their clunky way of getting there.
They just didn't really have a good idea of how to bring them together. So let's just completely have them get attacked, and eventually they'll just join because common enemies. Simple story.
Yup. Pretty simple. Can you imagine The Rock, though? He's got to be furious. Roman going against the family, teaming with Cody Rhodes, of all people. Oh, when the final boss shows up, there's going to be hell to pay, Johnny North. Roman's going to be in big trouble. Big trouble.
Well, I'm still convinced we're getting Rock and Cody at WrestleMania. I know you're big on Roman and Cody, Roman and Rock, sorry. But I think Cody and Rock is the game plan for WrestleMania.
I think we may do Rock and Solo versus Roman and Cody.
A tag match? Yeah, maybe. That's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. With possibly a Solo Rock match tied into that too. I don't know. But I think The Rock is going to be mad about what's going to happen at Bad Blood, brother. Because Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are going to be teaming up to take on Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. CM Punk will be wrestling Drew McIntyre in a Hell in a Cell match. Punk not at Raw this week. Such a big Bret Hart fan. Couldn't make it to Calgary. What's his problem?
Well, he got beat up the week prior. Like, it makes sense in terms of story.
Oh, okay. He had to sell. I get it. So Punk was not at Raw, but Adam Pearce got very excited about saying Hell in a Cell, yelled at Drew McIntyre, and made the match. That was over the top from Adam Pearce. Outrageous.
We could potentially get a Drew McIntyre Wade Barrett feud, which I know you'd love a lot.
Yeah, what was that about? Why was Drew McIntyre in Wade Barrett's face? Is Wade Barrett going to wrestle again?
I wouldn't be surprised if he wrestles again. Like, I could see it happen. I don't know if we really need Drew and Wade right now, but one day, possibly.
Did you see Gunther when he was talking to Brett? He's like, oh, it's true what Stu said about you. He was talking about Stu Bennett, which is Wade Barrett's real name. He called him Stu on TV. At first, I was like, Stu. I was like, are you talking about Brett's dad? And I was like, oh, no, you're talking about Wade Barrett. When he said Stu, I was really confused. I was like, who are you talking about? Because if you say Stu in the context of looking at Bret Hart in Calgary, I think Stu Hart, but I realized he was talking about something that Wade Barrett had just said, and that's Wade Barrett's real name.
Something that Wade Barrett also said on commentary, which I was like, that sounded a little bit off. He said Natty was trained by Stu Hart. And I'm like,
probably like, a bit.
You think? Really? Like,
it's her grandfather. She was around him. I'm sure she, although I think Stu maybe didn't teach. Wasn't it a thing like he didn't teach girls?
That could have been a thing as well, but also I'm just thinking his age at that point. Like, I don't think he was doing that much at that point.
I mean, he could tell her some stuff, I'm sure. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. But
whatever. Chris Jericho says he was trained in the dungeon.
Yeah, well, Jericho says it, that's kind of hilarious because you know that. Like,
well, when they say it about Natty, I think maybe it's just a nice way of keeping Stu's name alive. It's not a bad way to do it.
Well, just, like, as long as it's factual, but I question that a little bit. But
if you're a pro wrestling fan in 2024, you don't hear the name Stu Hart very often.
Did you also notice when they're panning the crowd when I guess it was a big Bret Hart like chant or something? They went on like an Owen Hart guy wearing a T-shirt, Owen Hart. They went clearly like away from that because I don't think they wanted that because that was more of like an AEW kind of T-shirt, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but they thought it was Bret Hart shirt when they went towards it. So
I didn't know.
That was kind of funny. Oh yeah, that was funny.
Oh man, I remember watching wrestling all the time. You'd see Stu and Helen in the crowd. The Saddle Dome, that's 94. Where the Canadian Stampede was, right? With Stone Cold and Vader and all those guys?
I believe so. I don't think it was in Edmonton. Pretty sure it was in Calgary.
Yeah, it was in Calgary. That was like one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time. That main event was the greatest main event ever. It's incredible. The Hart Foundation against like Team USA. Man, when Brett started talking about, you know what a Canadian champion is, it really took me back, you know? I was like, ooh, he's going to cut an anti-American, pro-Canadian promo? It's pretty good.
Wow. He wasn't so anti-American. It was just more pro-Canadian, but yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice.
But it was like a throwback style for Brett. I was like, oh, yeah, give it to us, Brett. That's what we want to hear. Oh, my goodness. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell. You think Punk gets thrown off the top of the cell through a table?
No, I don't see that happening.
Me neither.
Why would that happen? Like, that's
By
so
accident?
crazy.
I don't think they even go on top of the thing. They might, but just to, like, punch each other.
I could see them maybe do the finish on the top, but not fall off the top. But remember, like, Hell in a Cell, it's a lot taller now. Like, sure, Shane McMahon did it, but not everyone else is like a crazy stunt person like Shane. Like, I don't think a lot of people want to do that.
Who has Punk wrestled in a Hell in a Cell?
Taker.
Is that it?
That's the one that comes to mind right away.
He did wrestle Taker in Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
Yeah. He defended the world title and lost the world title to Taker.
Mm-hmm.
And Drew lost to Randy Orton inside Hell in a Cell.
Ooh.
The WWE title.
Ooh. Neither of them have good records inside the Hell in a Cell. Makes sense, though, for the feud. Seems like a logical next step, right?
Well, I mean, I feel Punk should win this one because it feels like they're building him up to go for the world title next, right? So, yeah, I feel like if they're going to have Punk not challenge for world title now, yeah, just end the feud with McIntyre, finally get that big win. Yeah, that's fine.
Will it be over? Finally?
It should be over for a little bit anyways. Like, let them move on to something else, you know? I would hope.
Mm-hmm.
3 pay-per-views is enough, no? 3 PLEs are enough, I hope.
You never know, John. You never know. Is Seth Rollins coming back?
Yeah, I think that's going to be Punk's match at Mania. It's going to be Seth. Whether it's for the title or not, I think that's Punk's match.
Is he coming back?
Yeah, at some point. But I guess it's going to be a while.
Where's Becky?
I mean, and Becky is being a mom. Doing her thing.
That's it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think she made her money, no? Like, was she the highest paid at one point?
Maybe she'll come in, like, from time to time, like, one-off type thing, but maybe that's it for her kind of full-time on-the-road work.
Because wasn't there a big thing about her, like, being away from her kid? Like, it was a big deal? Like, it hurt her a lot? Like, it was tough for her?
I mean, I think it should be if you're a human, but some people seem to have no problem with it. Makes sense. I don't fault her for it at all. I kind of commend her for making that choice. But I just, I'm unclear on if that's what's going on with her. I just haven't seen her in a while. I know she's not under contract. I just wasn't sure if she was just kind of taking time off from WWE, never coming back. I don't know. I wonder. Will she be in AEW or something? You know, what's going on? What's happening, Johnny North? Randy Orton came back to SmackDown, teamed up with Kevin Owens, and they beat the hell out of Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. I mean, it was a pretty basic match on SmackDown.
I like the whole Ricky thing they did at first. You know, I was like, oh, wow, this could be interesting. Like, they're bringing an absolute, like, nobody to be Kevin's partner. Like, this could be fun.
Yeah,
it didn't last long, sadly, but...
Yeah. The joke was Kevin had nobody else, so he brought this total jabroni out to be his tag team partner, but then he got a call that Randy Orton was there and ready, so Randy replaced him, and Ricky didn't get to wrestle. It was kind of cheap. Kind of a waste of time, to be honest.
Well, I think it was too obvious, right? I'm pretty sure you said it last week, like, it's clear who it's going to be. I think everyone knew who it was going to be, so it was just to kind of throw it off a little bit, you know?
I figured Randy would show up at some point. I was just waiting, and they gave me this to keep me waiting, you know? Ricky. Wasn't great. If it was Ricky from the Trailer Park Boys, I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. A lot more.
Not with the shirt off. No, not with the shirt off. It's funny, actually.
Give me Randy.
If he came with
Give me a different Randy. Give me Randy from the Trailer Park Boys with his shirt off, and it's like, I guess I got the wrong Randy, and then Randy Orton comes out. That would be money. Why didn't they do that? They can't fly Pat Roach out to SmackDown, get him to be Randy for the night, and it's like, here's my tag team partner, Randy, and then Randy's there, khakis, no shirt, and then he takes his pants off because he's got to take his pants off to fight. And then Randy Orton comes out. The real Randy comes out.
You know, if it was in Edmonton, I think it would have been a great idea. It was last week, I think, right?
Yeah,
it would have been great last week.
Yeah,
but I don't think they weren't thinking that clear for this week, and they weren't on the ball. I love it. Sadly, I don't think WWE writers think like this, sadly, and aren't big Trailer Park Boy fans, sadly. So
it's too bad they're not producing more Trailer Park Boy stuff on Netflix, because with WWE going there, we could have had a chance of a Netflix Trailer Park Boys WWE crossover. Oh, well. It'll never happen.
Well, I feel like wasn't Edge in one of the Edge was in one of the Trailer Park Boys like cartoons, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he? Man, Randy would love wrestling. He would love Randy Orton. You know what I mean?
Wow. I mean, wasn't Bubbles like the Green Monster or something?
The Green Bastard. Get it right.
Green, yeah. Well,
no, I'm just saying Randy he would like the wrestlers because he likes dudes.
Right. Yeah.
Randy Orton's very
I think there was a joke
man,
on that.
Good Randy Orton. As Bryan Danielson said, so pretty, Randy. That promo was fantastic. When he was saying how pretty Randy was, he's like, maybe I'd be a bigger star if I was as pretty as you, Randy. Just like making fun of how pretty Randy was. It was hilarious. Basically saying that's all he had. It was great.
It's sad right now with Bryan Danielson and what's going on with his family. I guess we talk about that if you want.
No.
Okay, you don't want to talk about that? Fine. Okay.
What do you want to talk about? Nikki Bella filing for divorce?
Well, it's sad that it came to that. It's just waited for so long to find somebody and to find a child with them too, and then for this to happen, it's sad. And the family's already gone through so much already with the whole Vince thing and with John Laurinaitis as well. Now for this to happen, it's a lot.
It is.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Every time you hit me with something I don't want to talk about, I'm going to hit you with that, John.
All right.
I'm sad for Nikki and all, but what do you want me to say? Like, it sucks. It's a horrible situation. Fuck that dancing guy.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all we needed, really.
There we go.
I'm sure people wanted to get your 2 cents on that because you talk about the Bellas all the time. Like you talk about how great they are. So,
well, if they were wrestling, I'd talk about them more, but I don't see them very much. I'd love to see Brie and Nikki and AEW kicking some asses. Nia Jax was on SmackDown tonight talking about bad blood, and then they set up a match for next week. Bayley came out, wanted a match with Nia. Tiffy Time came out, was backing up Nia, and then Naomi came out and was like, I want a title match. And then Nia's like, how about this? How about we do a tag team match next week? It'll be me and Tiffy Time versus you, Naomi, and you, Bayley. And whoever wins gets the title match. But if we beat you, whoever loses, whoever gets pinned or submitted or whatever, what if it's a disqualification? I guess nothing happens? I don't know. Whoever loses in the team gets banished from SmackDown permanently, kicked off SmackDown. So I guess moved to Raw or NXT. I don't know. So that match, I guess, is official for next week on SmackDown. Kind of a weird stipulation. I'm guessing nobody's going to get banished from SmackDown, and either Bayley or Naomi will win, or we'll have a non-finish. Because the match kind of seems like maybe nobody will win.
Well, I would think Bailey versus Nia, so Bailey has to win, right? That seems to be what makes most sense.
Yeah, I guess so. And maybe, Naomi will be doing something on the outside of the ring. Bailey will hit a move, get the win, and then Bailey and Naomi will kind of have a stare down type of thing. Maybe a little heat between Bailey and Naomi to draw on going forward. I mean, because if Bailey does win, that means Naomi doesn't get a tag title or a WWE Women's title shot, right? So you think Naomi might be pissed if Bailey gets the win for the team?
I don't think she'd be upset. If Bailey wins, I think she's happy. I think the same back with if Naomi won too. Bailey would be happy. They're good people.
Such baby faces.
Yeah.
Okay. So no blind tags, you don't think?
No, maybe they'll tease it a little bit where it's like, could have gone for a pin there, but she didn't, kind of thing, or like that could have hurt the pin. Maybe like accidental fell into her or something, because Tiffany pushed her in. It's like, did she try to do that on purpose?
Okay,
could happen.
Andrade beat Carmelo Hayes tonight. Decent match. I've kind of had enough of these guys wrestling each other, though. It's a best of 5. Carmelo lost. Andrade won. And his prize is a U.S. title match against LA Knight. LA came out and was like, title shot. I think next week. I'm not sure.
Really? Wow.
I think he said next week. He said 7 days from now. Didn't he say next week in the promo?
I missed that part if he said 7 days, but that's a pretty big match for them just to throw on a regular SmackDown. But I guess they're trying to make SmackDown a big deal because now it's on the USA Network. So trying to make the shows big. Not a big fan of the theme song, but at least it had a theme song unlike Raw this week.
I didn't mind it. Speaking of Raw this week, they set up a couple matches for Bad Blood. Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for the women's world title, and Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. More Judgment Day stuff.
It's not fun, I know, but we have to get through it.
Why?
Well, Finn and Priest, like that's kind of been building since SummerSlam, right? So
yeah.
And so will Liv and Rhea. That's been building like for half the year now. So yeah, let's get this over with.
All right, let's get it over with. So that's Bad Blood so far, coming up October the 5th. They keep showing us on Raw and SmackDown just all the broadcast team, backstage announcer, ring announcer, here's play-by-play, here's a color commentator, these are the people. And they showed it like 6 to 8 times on Raw and a bunch of times on SmackDown. I hope that's just for the season premieres. I'm not going to do that every show because it's like, all right, we get it. We know that. And it doesn't really matter who's doing the backstage announcing or interviews. Like, who cares?
No, they do it every week, actually. You just probably missed it. But they do it every week, and they always say, like, more to come, and then they kind of say the results, too.
Yeah.
Like, who won matches, yeah.
They're trying to make it look like real sports.
The problem is it doesn't feel like real sports, especially the way they do commentary.
It makes it seem faker when you have, like, a real sports guy, like the play-by-play guy for Raw now, Joe Tessitore or whatever his name is. It's like he's got this like very generic play-by-play voice, and he's going to do it like this. And it's like, all right. But then he's got to call the Wyatt Six and their creepy shit, and he's doing it in the same like, oh, look at this, Monday Night Raw. And you're like, it doesn't, like, you don't have the right intonation. The feel isn't there. And it's just, they always try to do this, and they do it with Michael Cole, and now they're trying to get a new Michael Cole with this guy. They try to get these like very generic announcer types from other fields, from the news or from sports, and they try to make them wrestling people. But no one ever is going to say that these people are their favorite play-by-play announcers in the history of the game. Like when people talk about their favorite play-by-play, color commentary, the team, you talk about Gorilla Monsoon doing play-by-play, or Jim Ross doing play-by-play, or Gordon Sully doing play-by-play. You're talking about wrestling people doing that stuff. Vince McMahon doing the play-by-play. Wrestling people doing it works. Non-wrestling people doing it sounds weird. and sometimes makes the ridiculous in wrestling seem more ridiculous. Because when it's being explained to you by a guy who's talking like this and is explaining it in a very matter-of-fact way, you go, well, this is really dumb, isn't it? Because you're kind of talking to me like a regular person here, and the way you're telling it sounds dumb. Whereas Gorilla Monsoon would be like, oh my goodness, what is he doing? This is, Jim Ross would be like, good God almighty, that sick bastard. He's a demon. Hellfire and brimstone. Like, he would sell it like shit. Good God, pal, look at this. And he's just like, he's going bananas. He's almost as over the top as the wrestlers. But these other guys that do it, like Michael Cole, when he's calling stuff, like, he's fine. He's done a fine job for the WWE. But when he's called the voice of the WWE and the best announcer and all of this, it's like he's just been doing it a long time. I don't think anybody, I don't think he's bad at his job, but I don't think anybody who's been a wrestling fan for a long time will ever put Michael Cole as their favorite play-by-play guy in WWE. If your favorite announce team is Michael Cole and Corey Graves, you just haven't been watching that long. And that's fine, but they're far from the best. I would take Shivani and Tenay and Dusty Rhodes over the current crop of WWE guys. I'm not even talking about Gorilla and Heenan. I'm talking about, give me a BWCW team. Give me Shivani, Tenay, and Larry Zbyszko over these guys. At least those guys sounded like wrestling. This Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett even. I mean, Wade Barrett does a decent job. But the Michael Coles and the Tessitores, I'd go, it doesn't. I don't feel it in the same way. Even with Michael Cole. And that's what they go for, and that's what they're looking for, but I'm not even really a big Excalibur fan, but I prefer the AEW commentary team. It's a more fun vibe on the commentary team with AEW, with Taz and Excalibur and Shivani, and then they rotate different people in and out there, Shivani or Jim Ross or whoever, Jericho, or it's a better commentary team than anything WWE has going. Maybe I'm wrong, but I prefer it that way. I prefer pro wrestling, the way it's kind of always been, rather than this kind of new corporate pro wrestling entity that the WWE is presenting and continuously trying to present themselves as this very glossy corporate product. They're on Netflix. They're publicly traded. They've got fancy people. They've got big business. It's money. It's, who's the boss? Who's the boss? WWE guys, which is another thing here, which goes past commentary, John. But, I want to talk about who the boss is in WWE, but sticking to commentary, I just, it doesn't have the same feel, right? Don't you prefer the old school style wrestling commentary team? The guys that were kind of characters themselves, rather than the guys now where they just try to be as bland as possible and just kind of blend in like wallpaper? Just call the action, pal.
Well, I've had experience doing commentary, so I know how it's not easy to be acceptable to every type of wrestling fan, because everyone has their own likes and dislikes, right? So it's not easy to please everyone with the way you talk. But for me anyways, and I think for you too, it's just to have that emotion, to show that you care about what's going on in the ring.
Yeah.
The point of commentary is to enhance the match, to
Yeah.
make it even better than what it actually is. And I feel like we're getting lost with a lot of it, sadly. And I feel like that's across the board. That's not WWE. It's also AEW as well. Like, I feel like they kind of get lost in a lot of what they're doing sometimes.
Mm-hmm. But you can tell Excalibur loves the business.
Well, because he knows the business. He's been involved in the business. But this is also why Tessitore, like, he's only had 2 weeks. I'm not going to bury him right now. Like, I didn't think he did a great job this week, but again, 2 weeks, and he's on a 3-hour show. I'd like to see him on a 2-hour show. I think he could probably do better.
Maybe. Angelo asking me who would I rather see do play-by-play for Raw. I don't know who's out there. There's not many talented people out there doing it. There's just not that many options. But I would always give it to a former wrestler who can talk.
But don't you find, at least when it comes to like play-by-play, like usually the wrestlers are better on the commentary, though? No color commentary?
Gorilla Monsoon was a good play-by-play.
That's true. It's true. It happens.
I think you could find a wrestler who could do it. I'm always in favor of giving those types of jobs to wrestlers who can't wrestle anymore.
I imagine they're probably out there.
I think JBL could do the play-by-play for Raw and do a great job. Give him some time and he would be good. I don't know if he wants to do it, but I'm just saying, for example, a guy like that, I think he could do it. I think Booker T could do it. I think Chris Jericho could do it at some point. I think Mick Foley could do it. I think a lot of people could do it. I'm sure there are names that I'm not even thinking about that are out there that could do it. A lot of wrestlers can talk that are out there. That could be the play-by-play voice of Raw. Easily.
Well, for what they want to do, though, I think a lot of those guys, Mick Foley, like, I think he'd rather do, like, color, though, because, like, a lot of them to remember all the names and the moves and everything.
Of course.
It's a lot harder on them. So, like, I think color they'd rather do with that instead. Booker T, I think, probably prefers color as well.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. I mean, it is what it is. The guy is who he is. And I don't think he's doing a bad job, this new guy they have on Raw, but I just like that style that the WWE hires. Like, it's not him. It's just what WWE wants, and it's not really what I want to hear when I'm listening to wrestling. I want it to be the soundtrack of the match, not background noise. Yeah. And I feel like it used to be part of the match. Like, you would have to hear what JR and the King were saying because it was important. It was part of what was going on in the ring. It was part of the show. These guys is not part of the show. Angelo's like, give him a chance. It's not him, Angelo. It's the whole style that WWE has. It's Michael Cole, too. They're not part of the show. They're just background noise. Like, you hear them, but they're not saying anything worth listening to. Like, Bobby Heenan and Jerry Lawler used to crack jokes that were hilarious. The commentary team used to say things, and you'd be like, whoa, that was crazy. That was good. Now, I feel like the commentary team used to try to, get wrestlers to get excited about what they were saying. But now the commentary team is just kind of there to, do the job and make sure it's all straight and narrow, and it's very bland. It's very bland. I don't like that style. It's boring as hell to me. And I don't think you need that in pro wrestling. There's enough of that in all the other sports, these kind of boring sports announcers. In pro wrestling, it's like, what are you doing here, dude? You're a nerd. Like they don't fit in because they don't have like a personality. They seem too like stuffed shirt. It's no good.
Like thinking about it, like just because he's so knowledgeable about wrestling and loves it so much, I think Kevin Owens, could be one of the greatest like announcers of all time when he eventually wants to be.
Yeah. Like when Kevin and Sammy retire, just give him the commentary desk.
Yeah, that could be pretty good.
I think they'd kill it.
I agree.
Why aren't they trying to make Big E the new play-by-play voice of Raw?
Does he want to go to Raw every week?
I don't know.
Maybe that's it.
I don't know. But I think he could do it.
Yeah, he probably could. I mean, he likes doing these pre-shows anyways. He's there almost all the time for the pre-shows.
I think he'd be better than anybody they have. If they, gave him some time, maybe started in NXT as a play-by-play guy, and then you work your way up. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. But it's also hard for some guys, especially like when they just stop wrestling. They're like, oh, well, we still want you around. And like you have that itch. You want to get back into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder when you're closer,
It's just, to me, the greatest ones ever were people that were closely related to the business in different ways that weren't just sports announcers or war reporters like Michael Cole. You know what I mean? Like, Gorilla Monsoon was a wrestler. Vince McMahon was a promoter. Jim Ross was a manager and a promoter and a, talent like these people that did this thing, they had a vested interest in the business, and then they happened to do commentary and they were amazing at it. And those are the ones that people remember and go, ooh, they were the best. No one says Michael Cole. Does anybody say Michael Cole? If they do, I mean, they're just, I don't know. Is there anybody out there that says Michael Cole is better than Jim Ross? If there is, if those people exist, maybe they're just hearing Jim Ross in AEW and they didn't hear him during the Attitude Era because, I mean, iconic calls, iconic phrases, catchphrases. Announcers don't have catchphrases anymore. Good God Almighty. He's beating him like a government mule. He's bleeding like a stuck pig. That man has a family. I mean, come on. Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. Jim Ross had some moments. To me, Jim Ross is the greatest to ever do it. By far.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that, but unfortunately, I think it may have been aged a little bit because I think a lot of people now have grown up with Michael Cole as their voice in WWE. So a lot of people remember Michael Cole for a lot of stuff because JR's been gone since what, 2014, 15? Like it's been a while now, sadly.
Yep. It is what it is. As far as the boss thing, I just think it's interesting now, looking at the WWE and then looking at AEW. Think about being a wrestler now in those companies compared to being a wrestler there. Say you're Kevin Owens, right? You've been in WWE, what, 10 years at this point?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right? When you started, if you needed something, if you wanted something done, be it contract, creative, whatever, you knew that the guy that was the final say, the be-all and end-all, was there at the building and you could talk to that guy. Now, you get to talk to Triple H, who is a middleman, really, between Nick Khan and the higher-ups at TKO, who are your real bosses that you will never see or speak to. I just think it's an interesting new reality that the WWE wrestlers now have to live in, and that AEW wrestlers do not have to deal with. When an AEW wrestler wants something, contract, creative, whatever, the be-all and end-all is there. Tony Khan is there. You need something, you want something, the final say guy, the actual boss, is at the show. And you can talk to him. You know him. He knows you. That is not the case in the WWE anymore. I don't know how many pro wrestlers are going to be comfortable with that going forward. How many pro wrestlers want to work for a nameless, faceless corporation? And how many pro wrestlers want to work for a wrestling company? Because the more we see this new WWE with the production and the TV deals and the business and the this and the that and the very polished everything and the very cookie cutter creative that goes along every line that you see coming a mile away. The more we see this version of the WWE, the more I look at it as not really a wrestling company. Not in the traditional sense. Not anymore. A wrestling company usually has the head guy at most of the shows. The head guy for WWE, Ari Emanuel, who's the boss, he's not showing up. You're talking to a middleman when you talk to Triple H. When Triple H says, yeah, I could do this, I could do that, he's got to ask permission. And say what you will about Vince McMahon, and there's a lot of horrible things you could say and should say because he's apparently a monster. But at least when you went to him, you could get an answer, and he didn't have to ask permission. So since the beginning of WWE, the WWF, the WWF, if you needed something, you went to Vince McMahon Sr. or Vince McMahon Jr., and you got an answer. Now you go to his idiot son-in-law, and you get, I have to ask, but maybe, sure, you're gonna be a big star. Maybe I'll have to see what the algorithm says, and then I'll have to ask Nick Khan if that makes sense. We have to fly 14 hours tomorrow. It's just an interesting new reality in WWE, John. And just the way I'm seeing it, like, you know, if my contract was up in WWE, I'd take a good hard look at what kind of life I want to lead and what kind of company I want to work for. I don't know. AEW is an alternative to the WWE in so many different ways. It's such a different wrestling company. It's almost like they're not in the same business at this point. You know? You see what AEW does and the style of wrestling that they do, the matches that they put on, the violence that they go to, just the style that they are right now of a company, and then what WWE does. It's just very different. And then we also talk about, you know, the unpredictability of AEW and how WWE is very predictable. And WWE does a lot of things well, and I don't dislike WWE, but as a wrestling fan since WrestleMania, I could tell you that AEW, you know, is much more entertaining and a lot easier to watch. It's easier to watch Dynamite than any of the WWE shows throughout the course of a week. And the pay-per-views are far better than the premium live events that WWE puts on. Just two different companies, run differently, operating differently, putting on two different products. WWE's making more money. They're selling more tickets. They're moving more merch. But from a strictly critical standpoint, I feel like AEW is doing better work.
It depends how you look at it, obviously. Like, in terms of the wrestling, I mean, I think you could say that, sure. Because I think that's what they put the focus on with AEW. They want to have the best working wrestling.
Yep.
Where WWE, it's more about, let's put the best presentation out, and there's wrestling pretty much involved in it. I don't know how it works with them. But again, that's not a bad thing. It's just the way the business has evolved for WWE. They've gotten to that point where wrestling is kind of like the last thing, really. And AEW is almost like a throwback to how it used to be.
Don't you like how it used to be, John? Isn't that what you like about wrestling? Like this new thing that WWE is. Do you even recognize it as pro wrestling anymore? You know?
No, I still recognize it pro wrestling. And I think they've made a lot of great steps in terms of their evolution. Some things I don't agree with, but
Yeah.
I think with a lot of things, in terms of getting it in terms more into the mainstream, I think they've done a great job with that. Fantastic. Yeah. And if anything, you probably don't want AEW to get more into the mainstream because a lot of that stuff shouldn't be mainstream, especially what happened the last couple of weeks. But I think it still has a place in wrestling to have that. Because wrestling needs to kind of have that shock value, and AEW is definitely delivering that.
Very shocking stuff in AEW, very entertaining stuff. WWE is a different product. I think they're doing a lot of things right. I think Gunther is great. He's the wrestling in WWE. It's not a wrestling based product these days, and the stuff that they do is kind of like, I don't know. The creative has been a little stagnant.
Yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about that. They have their little. They keep it kind of repeating over and over again, and then they just kind of loop what they do.
But that's a problem.
Sure.
When your show isn't wrestling based, right? It's creative based. When your creative sucks, what do you have other than bright lights and shiny people?
A bunch of people yelling or not yelling.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Like the creative has been weak, and they rely on their creative to kind of get them by. It's tough. It's been tough since WrestleMania. Gershon Singh Sangha says, let's all agree. Okay. Post-WrestleMania, all the pay-per-view matches, WWE has failed to put up good work with Cody as the face of the company. Huh. I mean,
I'm not saying Cody's had bad matches, but not a match where you say oh, that was the greatest match. That's definitely true. Yeah, he hasn't been this is amazing.
Let's all agree that Bryan Danielson is the number one champion in all of pro wrestling. Let's just agree that is the case right now. Obviously,
I think Ospreay gives him a good fight for his money on that one right now.
Bryan is better. He's the world champion. Ospreay's an international champion. Who cares? Means nothing.
Did they not say he's best in the world? I feel like they said that multiple times.
Well,
multiple pay-per-views.
Ospreay couldn't beat Swerve, and Danielson could. So who's the best now, John?
I'm just telling. This is the last pay-per-view that they said that.
John Moxley is so afraid of Bryan Danielson, he tried to murder him. Murder.
He's a weak person.
He's a jerk.
Red O'Brien, right?
John Moxley is a jerk. Britt O'Brien, how dare you? How dare you?
That's not me. That's not my
Ball
fault.
game
That's
over.
Nigel.
Yankees win. The Yankees win.
That's right. That's what you get. That's what you get, John.
It's not my quote. It's Nigel's quote.
When's your next match? When can people see you in the ring?
It's going to be next Friday in Sudbury. A big tag team match.
Nice.
So check that out on my Instagram and Twitter. I posted.
Yeah. Johnny North going to miss the 700th episode of Wrestling Uncensored next week. Whoops.
There's a big reason why. I can't reveal why, but there's a big reason.
Well, you're wrestling.
Well, it will be revealed. Well, I got the big match, but then something is going to happen after this big match.
What's the match?
I have a tag match.
Oh,
Tag
okay.
match is a very simple match. I'm wrestling Matt Viviani and his henchmen, and I'm teaming up with one of the mascots from Project X.
Cool.
But this is all going to lead into something later. You'll see. I'll mention it next week or when I come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to find out. So Johnny will be wrestling once again in Sudbury, Ontario next weekend. Go watch Johnny North. More info at North Genesis on Twitter, at Genesis Johnny North on Instagram. And, of course, you can get the Johnny North collection over at merch.ringsidereport.net. Did you see Fred curse you out for having your own collection?
Well, I mean, he should be jealous. I look at his arms and I'm like, yeah, he's a jealous person. It's okay. Understandable.
Do you want to have a post down with Fred?
Well, I think people can just look at me now and then look at Fred the way he is or has ever been. Like, I'm not too worried. Like,
Fred's jacked lately,
But
man. He's looking trim.
I mean, great for Fred. You know, it's fantastic. That's tough. He's got like 7 kids. Like, that's really tough
3.
for now. Yeah, that you made mention. That we're allowed to mention. Sure.
That we know of.
Right.
That he knows about.
AJ's
He would take care of them
AJ's
if he
told
knew
me some
about them.
stories.
If there were other kids, he would take care of them. He's a good man. If he knew about them, they'd be taken care of.
He still doesn't have a T-shirt though. That's
He
a
doesn't.
fact.
I don't have a T-shirt. I realized. There's no Dave shirt. There's no Fred shirt. There's no AJ shirt. But there's
What?
Johnny shirts.
Was there not like a Dave mug or something? I feel like there was.
I don't think so. There was a Dave, Fred, and AJ mug. There was like a cup we had at one point, but that's gone. We don't sell that anymore.
Oh,
It sucks. We need to make some some Dave merch. I'm gonna make some cartoons of me doing various activities. I don't know what yet. We'll figure it out. John, we've had a good time. I'll be back tomorrow night, UFC 306. A lot of UFC action tomorrow night. Sugar Sean O'Malley taking on Merab Dvalishvili in the main event, UFC at the Sphere. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, when the pay-per-view starts, our show will start for the watch-along here on the Ringside Report Network. Definitely check us out for that. I want to give a shout-out to all the members checking in tonight. Angelo Contagonis, Franco316, Jason Pete, out in Mexico, CSL Lorne, out in CSL.
that's a good idea, by the way.
What?
I think Franco said bobbleheads, didn't he? Dave signed
Those are
bobbleheads.
expensive
That'd
to
be fun.
produce, I think. Those would be very expensive
course.
to buy. I think we'd have to sell them for like $100, $200 each. You know, it's like crazy. I don't think anyone would buy them. Too expensive. No one's gonna pay $200 for a Dave bobblehead. I mean, maybe somebody would, but I doubt it. I would. I think it would be me buying one, and I'd have it on my desk right here, and I'd bobble my head. That sounds wrong. Okay. Sounds bad. I will be back here 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow with Freddie. No AJ. AJ is actually not on the thing tomorrow, but I'll be here.
Oh,
Freddie will be
that's
here.
sad.
I know. AJ's got other commitments, but it's okay. He'll be back for the next one. UFC 306 at the Sphere tomorrow night. Thank you, everybody, for checking in. Angelo Contagonis, member for 43 months over at join.ringsidereport.net. Thank you,
Nice.
Angelo, for supporting 43 months. I can't quite do the math, but I think that's almost, 4 years? It's a long time. Thank you.
I've enjoyed our Super Bowl chats that we've had the last couple of years. Especially this past one was fantastic.
Nice. I hope...
You saw the video?
Oh, yeah. Didn't I call the Super Bowl being fixed? I said it was fixed, right? I said it was
You
fake.
said it was like fake,
and you guys
faker
got
than
mad.
wrestling or something?
Yeah, it was fake.
Angelo got mad, yeah. And
I said
I
football's
recorded
fake,
that.
wrestling is real. It's true, too. It's true. Didn't
And
I
I think
say it was
Angelo-
rigged because the Chiefs would win anyways because it's all fake, and then they won? I was like, I told you. It's all fake.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. It was all rigged, bro.
I think Angelo said some things about you after that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
They're all true. They're all true. Football is fake. Okay, guys. I'll see you tomorrow night for the UFC 306 watch-along. That's just real. That's a shoot, brother.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word.
You know the drill. Hit that subscribe button, flip those notification switches.
We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at ringsidereport.net. Hope to see you again next time.